And his lovely wife Valerie over there. It is with great pride that I stand before you today to celebrate a significant milestone in our club's history. Our 50th anniversary over those past 50 years, our sailing club has grown, evolved and thrived and become the fantastic club it is today. 50 years ago, a group of passionate sailors, here, came together with a shared vision to create a club where sailors could come together to enjoy their passion, to learn from one another and build lasting friendships. From those humble beginnings, we have navigated through calm seas and stormy waters, always staying true to our mission of fostering a love for sailing and promoting and educating those who choose to join us. Today, we tip our hats, I haven't got one on, sorry, and give a nod to our club founders and all the members who have contributed their time, energy and resources to build and sustain our club. To our past commodores, there's many of them here, Mr Bob Coote there, Mr Deck O'Brien there, Mr Donal Brennan there, Mr Dermot Spain there, Mr Stone's by there, Miss Jackie Malone, where's Jackie? Is that everyone? Oh yeah! I should have planned that.
Typical. Bloody typical.
Of course, my good friend, Mr. Stephen Broad, as well.
You are surprised.
Where was I? That was funny. Committee members, trustees, of course, who I've already mentioned, our volunteers and supporters. I'd like to thank you all. Your efforts have shaped the club into what it is today. As we look back, we can be proud of many achievements and milestones that mark the club's journey. We have hosted many regattas, events and formal training. Our members have competed in regional, national and international competitions, bringing great kudos to the club. We have expanded the club's facilities over the years and enhanced the experience for you, our members. While today is a day for reflection, it is also a time to look forward with optimism and enthusiasm. The future of our club is bright and we are committed to building on our legacy. We will continue to invest in our facilities, support our members and promote the sport of sailing to new members. With that, I'd like to raise our glasses as a toast to Sword Sailing and Boat Club.
Hear, hear.
Who has organised today. She's done a great effort. We've got our caterers to thank as well, KC Catering, which will be serving food shortly. Other people have helped today, a few mentions, Carl can't be with us today, Dara over there taking your money. So thank you to all that contributed today. I think that's about it. Apart from, finally, I would like to thank you all, but I would like to hand over to our trustees, Mr. Dermot Spain, Mr. Norbert Duffy and Mr. Donal Brennan, who are hopefully going to say some words about the history of this fantastic club. Over to you guys.
Well, I'll start off anyway by talking to you about, it won't take too long by the way, but the very beginnings of the club, which is of course important. And it goes back to the year 1973 or 1974. I'm not quite sure about the dates, but pardon me when I make a little errors here or there, because when you get a bit older, things just go off a little bit. But anyway, the Community Council, who were very active at the time, decided that we're going to have a meeting to decide how to improve the situation for young people and for older people, of course, in Swords, which was a burgeoning community at the time. And the outset of that was a decided they would have a special meeting of the community council, and we had a meeting of which I have vague memories, because my late wife was a very active member in that community council, and she came home to me that night after the meeting and said, would you be interested in starting a sailing club? And I had, what the hell do I know about sailing, which was nil. But I do have memories of when we came to Swords first, of seeing the boats down in Malahide, and there was a wonderful thing. I used to bring my children down there or to do a little bit of fishing down at the viaduct. And to see the boats from Malahide, they had a load of, every Saturday, every weekend, they had a terrific display of optimists and Enterprise. The Enterprise is an interesting boat because it had a blue sail and they had the mirrors, of course, and the colours. I remember to this day that was sort of what awakened my interest in the sailing. It was what we actually saw there. So that was my information about sailing. So I knew very little about sailing, nothing practically about sailing, other than that, and I thought it was a great idea. A committee was formed, ad hoc committee, that time, and about a week later, at that meeting, Pat Cochran, who was the instigator of the whole issue, and Tom Clark, who some of you will probably remember, and Larry Traynor, who was a friend of Tom Clark's at the time. They were all Aer Lingus boys, by the way. There was a tremendous interest in Aer Lingus with the club all the time in this formation. But those guys, we had a meeting, and I remember Bob McGonigal, who was a solicitor in Swords. He was about the only solicitor at the time. He was very interested in helping us out, which he did. He brought in people from Skerries. He hadn't boated himself in Skerries, so he knew a little bit about sailing, but he got in people who were of interest to help us start and to think about how we were going to start a sailing club. By, first of all, we had to build our boats. We had to have a few boats of some sort, whether they were juniors or seniors or whatever. We had to have boats. And that was virtually the formation of the club on that night. There was a few people from Skerries came down that night. They were friends of Pat or Bob McGonigal's. And there was Tom Clark and there was Pat Corcoran, as I say. Pat was the actual instigator of the whole thing in the first instance. And Tom Clark was his friend, and I was friends with both of them. But they wrote me into the situation as well. And from that, we started then, decided we would have something to do with building boats. We started, of course, as you may or may not be aware, at that time, sometime around very early in 1994, we started off having an idea. Pat Corcoran had the idea. Tom Clark was the motivator, and he was Mr. Communications, and he was the guy that got things done. It was always in the club that somebody needs to get things done, and Tom Clark was that guy. And between the whole lot of us anyway, we started off our sailing club. Today, here we are, and from that very beginning, we're the reason we're here today. And I'll take my bow now and say thank you to the Commodore, to Stephen for inviting us here and for giving this opportunity to let you know how the club started and what it's all about. And it's a credit to everybody concerned. Thank you.
In relation to this story, because Norbert is responsible for me joining the club in the first place. I remember up along the estuary here, I don't know whether you remember, the water used to come up to the roadway. This is before this kind of reclaiming was done, kind of thing. But I remember launching a boat there that I built to Miracle, and tender steps in and probably whatever. And Norbert was driving along the road and spotted me, stopped and inveigled me to join, so that's how I'm here. So kind of went on from there. To continue on a little bit from what Norbert had said, I really want to talk about how the club physically developed in terms of buildings and origin. It started over in Prospect Point, where the original sword sailing club started. If you're over there, you'll see some concrete slabs, and these were actually, I'm not sure whether it came from the Swords Bypass or the Bowman Hospital. But that's the origin of it. And I think there was a caravan there, somebody owned a caravan at some stage over there. But anyhow, that wasn't there for long, and eventually, and if you look just before you come to the rugby club now, there's a bungalow there, white wall, and it's quite distinctive in the sense that there's drain holes in the wall to allow water to run off. We used to park our dinghies in there, and we launched across the road, humped over and down onto the water, and that's where it started. To move on from that, we acquired this land, and I say land because it was sea at the time, and it was we reclaimed the land under license, I'm nearly sure from the Port Docks, because we were below the tide line. But anyhow, we have a 999-year lease on it, so I don't think we'll be moving anywhere anytime shortly. To reclaim the land, and the fill for this area consists of Beaumont Hospital and the Swords Bypass. Now, then they acquired, I don't know whether you mentioned it, we acquired a prefabricated school classroom down in Donnycarney, behind the big church, beside Parnell Park. That was dismantled and transported here and resurrected. And you might remember, it was approximately out there, and we had a small tile block attached to that. And
I drove the truck that brought them up.
Because the thing came apart apparently like a Lego and was reassembled. And there's a septic tank out there which recently, as far as I know, was replaced. I'll come back to mentioning something about that later. So at that stage, we were up, we had some kind of a dwelling to changing and all that kind of thing. But we only had a temporary planning permission on that, and it was about to expire, and really it was only ever wanted to be a temporary thing. So we went about the development of this club as you see it here now. There was plans for what I call the Taj Mahal to be built here. I think at the time the estimates were about 250 or 300,000 pounds. Now, to put that into some kind of a perspective, an average house, we say up in Seabury, was probably 60 to 70,000 pounds. So it gives you some idea of the scale of it. So that was pie in the sky. It had to be dismissed. We went back to the drawing board, and Brendan Deasy, who is a long-serving member here too, got plans drawn up for a simple, easy to construct, low cost, and this is what came about. To obtain the planning permission then was another battle, because there was a guy in the Parks Department called Michael Lynch. That was Dublin County Council at the time. It was before Fingal came into existence. And I remember having a meeting with Michael Lynch. He was known as the Ayatollah Lynch because he guarded his parkland with, an iron fist. And we wanted to originally put some kind of a two-story building. That was scrapped. No way. He wanted it back there, not at the water's edge. Now, how we overcame that objection from him was because of the septic tank. It couldn't be put up there because the percolation area is up there, so we couldn't build on that. So with the result, the septic tank actually dictated where the building was going to be on this site. So for once, the bylaws on building and planning came to our rescue. So anyhow, the next thing then was to raise the funds. Everybody is, I have a saying that I call, why don't we do this and we do that? I call that the royal we. If being somebody else does it, anyhow. So we set about raising the funds. Now, I had a very good friend at the time that served as commodore down in, not Skerries, in Sutton, Rocard Tierney. And they got into a bit of problem financial about building their place. So I got great advice for him, and one thing was, he said, have your money in place before you build. Best piece of advice I ever got. So we set about it. Now, later members here may not know about the bond situation. What we did was, we came up with a scheme that meant that members, ordinary members at the time, bought a bond of 800, I can't remember if it was pounds, or whatever it was at the time, and family members it was 1,000. Now there was finance put in place by the guy from, what was the guy in America? No,
Tom Magner.
Oh, Tom.
No.
Tom Magner.
No, long before his time.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Parrish, doesn't matter. We come back to it. The bank manager down something anyhow. So you could borrow it on an individual basis. Now this meant that basically the funding of it was shared over all the members. So an incoming, it's very easy for a committee to build and leave the problem of repayments then to another committee. So this is what happened, and this is where the origin of the bonds came. These were redeemed over a number of years, and some of you may have paid an entry fee, and that money was ring-fenced to repay the bondholders over a period of time, which was done. There's a few remaining, but we don't know where the people are anymore, and that's why. So if anybody can remember them. So there's still a few bob there in that kitty, if anybody wants to claim it. So then we set about finding out about get this place built. We got various estimates, which varied hugely. We eventually settled on one guy. He was from Cavan, and I think it was 89,000, if memory serves me correctly. Paddy, I think you have the original receipt.
I didn't look at it.
Yeah, so it still exists.
It's over there.
Yeah. So I remember we negotiated with the builder, and I said to him, there's no extras on this, and I mean no extras, unlike the Children's Hospital. So anyhow, we proceeded, we built it for that amount, there was no debt on it, and that's really, what would you say, where we are now kind of thing. One of the, what would you say, the width of this building was determined by the biggest prefabricated roof span you could get at the time, and that kept the cost down, so that determined the width of it. I told you about the location of it, was from the tank outside kind of thing. So I don't know whether there's anything else really. Most of you then know where it is from there. I've probably forgotten something, but sure.
85,965.
I would
Where's the other 4 grand?
I was in there.
I'm going to pay that bill next week.
So I don't really have any questions about it.
I just went through, right? I think to thank these two lads here, because they have the history, and it was on Dermot's watch. Someone was asking when it was built, if you look at the board to see D Spain up there, so whatever year you were Commodore, and if you had to stay on for this to make sure the contract was finished.
I was the longest serving Commodore, because normally it's 3 years, but I served 3 years and 1 month. So to finish the negotiations on the building and all that kind of thing. That was
What I have to say is, I think it's thanks to the former members, and the club is financially sound. I think thanks due to Fergus, Tom Clark, and predecessors. From my point of view, I think I drove by here when I was living in Swords at the time, and we were driving, and I think somebody over here told me to go in there and find out what was the crack with this sale. I came in, I met Tom Clark. Tom was Commodore at the time, and you know, he's on about the club, this, that, the other, but a little bit of voting experience. I have to say, not an awful lot. So he hit me up with Frank Dempsey. Frank Dempsey was raised in an enterprise at the time, and that's where I started. But I'd say within a month, I had obviously signed in. I bought Tom Clark's old GP14. Tom Murphy's GP14, and raised that for a couple of seasons here. And what kept me here? I'm looking around the room, and these are the people that kept me here. And the people here are what makes this club great. There's no airs, no graces. You come in, you fill in your application form. No one asks you what you do, you know. And there's no formal dress. We're all at a fairly formal occasion today. I don't see a tie, no club ties anywhere. And I think we can't afford it. But it's this, you know, it's the people that are in the club that make it great. They're interested in sailing. There's great friendships. I made, I don't know, countless numbers of lifelong friends here. And it's not just sailing. We go walking. Stephen has his cycling brigade. The women have their Virgo club. It's great. It's not just so that I don't know. It's friends for life.
Yeah.
And so I think, guys, if I had a glass, I'd raise it. And I think, you know, give yourself the toast. You guys are what make the club great. Yeah. And cheers. Cheers.
Just to finish up, food will be served in about 3 or 4 minutes. Enjoy the day. That's it, folks. Thank you.